Hi, I'm Nat Gregory and I'm here with Chris Dockrill for the premiere of More. So Chris, how old were you when you first started writing plays?
Oh, how old was I? That's a good question. I know I started writing in the mid-80s and I published a collection of plays called Power Plays that I co-wrote with my good friend Tony Spinks, who sadly passed away. But Power Plays actually set a record for the type of book that it was back in the 80s. It sold out in 6 months and it was into its third printing within 18 months. And together Tony and I went on to write and publish 2 other books, collections of plays, and then I went on to publish a number of books on my own. Along the way I've written numerous one-act plays, short stories, hundreds of songs, 5 rock musicals, and a number of 2-act plays. We did a play called Flame Trees about 2 years ago here in Kempsey, which ran for 9 shows and 7 of them were within 5 seats of selling out. And that was based on the cultural song Flame Trees. And now we are weeks away from opening with More.
So you know what you're doing.
I guess you could say I know what I'm doing, yes.
So what does this play More mean to you and how did it come about? Well,
it started with me reading a book by investigative journalist Kate McClymont, and she wrote this great expose on Eddie Obeid called He Who Must Be Obeyed. And what fascinated me about Eddie Obeid was he was a man who, like TJ, has hundreds of millions of dollars, but it doesn't stop him from wanting more. And I thought to myself, if you sat down opposite Eddie and you asked him, what else do you want in life, Eddie? You seem to have everything. He would look at you straight away and just say, I want more. And like TJ, my TJ, the central character in this play, he says it's not really the money, that it's just because it's there. But he also says to his daughter Ali, you have to be careful when you have that much money and power because there's always somebody who wants to take it away from you. So there is that ongoing motive to make yourself bigger, richer, stronger, so you can withstand the attacks of others.
Yeah, and be more powerful, I suppose.
Yes, yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much, Chris.
Well, I was just going to say too, with TJ is a fascinating character in himself because he's so unlikable. From the first opening lines, when he walks on board his multi-million-dollar yacht, and he just tells his friends to piss off because he's on the phone. The audience can't help thinking what an arrogant prick he is. That he treats these people like dirt around him. And I think later in the play, he's accused of being anti-Semitic because he says to his friend Harry Weiss, don't go laying that Jewish guilt trip on me, Harry, it won't work. But his wife, Nan, I think
he's a racist.
Well, he is without knowing it. This is the thing with TJ. As Nan says, he's insensitive. He's completely insensitive to the people he hurts around him. So yes, he's racist, he's sexist, he's everything that's bad in human nature. And yet, it's almost, he either doesn't know it or he doesn't care. His treatment of Harry is terrible. Here's Harry, we all know TJ has so much money, he could write off the $1.5 million that he lent to Harry just like that. But he won't. In fact, he will take enormous pleasure in bankrupting his friend and then offering him a job in his old company. It's almost as if he has an auto cruise control that makes him cruel to everyone around him.
Yeah, not your normal main character, I guess.
No, far from it. I mean, you couldn't call TJ a hero. Normally in theatre, you have a protagonist and an antagonist. You know, the protagonist is the good guy, the antagonist is the person who's set up against him. But in this case, and I deliberately did this, in this case I thought it'd be great to build a whole play around a negative person like TJ. And the audience will not like him, but they will definitely be engaged by him. They will sit back and go, oh, how could he do that? How could he say that? Right? And that will keep the play going. And I know I've said it before in interviews about this play, but if you go right back to Shakespeare and you look at some of his best characters, for example, Macbeth, you couldn't call Macbeth a good guy, could you?
No.
I mean, he's a murderer. He and his wife kill the king, right? If you look at something like Othello, the really dynamic character in that is Iago, who's driven by jealousy, and he lies to Othello all the way through, and he's a horrible manipulative person. If you look at King Lear, I mean, the dynamic people in King Lear are not King Lear. I mean, he's a senile old fool. But there's Edmund, who actually says, now, God, stand up for bastards. Right? He's willing to do away with his father to gain the throne. And then you look at King Lear's daughters, Goneril and Regan. They have witches. They're horrible, right? But all those evil people are the ones that actually make things happen. And it's the same with TJ. I mean, if you look at this play, it'd be a pretty boring play if it was a happy birthday night. There's nothing happy about this birthday party.
I'll have one more question for you then.
Okay.
What do you hope the audience feels after watching this play when they come and watch?
Well, I hope they go away with a number of questions, and observations, and one of which is the Gary and Harriet. Now they're interesting. They're an interesting couple. They're very rich, but they've got everything they want in life, and they're happily married, right? And so the message is that's really the model that we should aspire to. And isn't it a shame and a tragedy that TJ seems to be going through his life and missing all that? So yeah.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Chris.
Thank you.
Looking forward to the play.
Thank you very much.
That'd be great.